Tyler.
Hey, Chris.
This is where the fun begins. Welcome, everyone, to the Wrong Button podcast, the show where we talk all things nerd, most things video games, and generally anything that tickles our fancy. And today, hey, Star Wars preseason.
Here we go.
Here we go. I'm very excited. So welcome, everybody. Welcome, viewers on Twitch. Hey, this is us. We are here. The neon sign's not on because the neon sign puts a very nasty in the background.
Does it really? It picks that up?
It picks that up. So I've got some things coming on so that way the neon sign can be lit up. But for right now, at least it's framed and it still looks nice.
It is beautiful. The best neon sign there ever was.
I appreciate it. So yeah, Tyler, we're here because Star Wars starts next week.
You know, I honestly, when they announced that it was going to be February 21st, I wasn't exactly prepared. I was expecting we'd get Bad Batch somewhere around May the 4th. I believe they did May the 4th last year, or is it 2 years ago now? No, it was last year.
Yes.
So, for us to be getting Bad Batch, the final season of Bad Batch, this early, just kind of has me getting goosebumps just thinking about it, just talking about it.
I'm so excited for Bad Batch. You know how it has to end. We all kind of know how it has to end. Like it's not gonna be our Saturday morning like cartoon.
It's not gonna be positive.
No. Well, I mean
It's not how it ends, but how we get there that I'm really interested to see.
I am too. I'm waiting. I'm afraid it's gonna go like Super Saving Private Ryan on us.
Oh, you think so?
Yeah, like so it's gonna be like and it's gonna hurt the most when it's like Wrecker. Like Wrecker is gonna hurt the most.
He's not long for this world, unfortunately, because every time you have an elite crack squad with this guy who is just ridiculously overpowered, he's not gonna last.
See, I was thinking because he was the most I want to make. I like this little person, and like he is like Hunter is the dad. Wrecker is like the
crazy uncle.
The crazy uncle, but like do anything like not in a bad way,
yeah.
But definitely like I don't have to always be your parent. But when I do have to be your parent, like you know you're wrong.
Yeah, you done messed up.
But just to give everyone else, so we're gonna kind of go through a couple things. We'll kind of lay out a schedule for you guys. So just so you guys know, this is what's coming out this year. We have Bad Batch starting next week. We have The Acolyte. We have Skeleton Crew, which I'm incredibly excited for. Tales of the Jedi.
Which cannot wait to see what they're doing for the second season.
And possibly Andor Season 2.
Up in the air. Remains to be seen. They just finished shooting on that, didn't they?
I think so, yeah. Ahsoka's in development, and everything else I think everything else has been like pushed down the line a little bit. Yeah, because there's still the Mando movie and the New Republic movie that are on the way out. So we have a fair amount to look forward to, and I'm incredibly excited for that.
Oh, you and me both. I really think that outside of Tales of the Jedi, that we're reaching the big conclusion of what has been arguably one of the best animated runs of all time, starting with Star Wars: The Clone Wars in 2008. All the way through Star Wars Rebels, the Clone Wars coming back again, and then we have the Bad Batch. But really, I think it's been kind of a consensus that we're getting out of this era of Star Wars a little bit, that there aren't too many stories left to explore. And so it kind of brings me to wonder if we're going to see another animated Star Wars show anytime soon. We do have Tales of the Jedi, but those are more kind of like scattered stories. You know, we got Dooku and Ahsoka last year, which were fantastic, by the way. Great work on Tales of the Jedi. But we don't have another animated story, as far as I know, that's in the pipeline.
I almost wonder if this is like, hey, this style of animation with Bad Batch is done. We're not going back to it.
That would break my heart, because it's gotten better and better with each show.
It has, but I would love for it to be like, hey, you know what we're going to do next? You remember the Micro series on Spike TV, the Micro Clone Wars?
Oh, the 2000 was it 2003 Clone Wars, right?
Yeah, that one.
Yeah.
I would love it to be like, okay, this is done. Like the Clone Wars to Bad Batch, that is this era. Now we're going over to this era, and we're gonna go into, hey, this is the like maybe they'll just go like anime. Maybe they'll pick one of the studios that they really like that did Visions, and they'll be like, okay, that's who's gonna do our next Star Wars arc. Like they're gonna be the ones to do it. We'll picture something to go with that.
Yeah, I could see that happening. That'd be interesting. And honestly, I hadn't really given much thought to retiring that kind of animation style, but I could totally see it happening. I mean, I always get a laugh when I go back and watch the Clone Wars movie that came out in 2008, which is it's an experience.
Yeah,
I thought it was cool when it came out and I was 11, but I was also, I'm gonna like any Star Wars project to come out for the most part. However, it has not aged well in both story and animation.
I think I made Mrs. Play watch it, and she's like, I don't like this, and I don't like this Ahsoka. And I'm like, no one did.
No,
we all hated her. And then we got 3 seasons in, and we got to see Anakin mess up teaching her. And now we have Ahsoka with Rosario Dawson. We're all like,
Ahsoka's arc from being one of the most hated characters of all time in Star Wars to being one of the most beloved and fiercely fought for is just like Dave Filoni in a nutshell. That
is.
It's something that I like to call the Dave Filoni masterclass because his handling of Ahsoka, the character, is nothing short of brilliant in my mind. So,
I mean, I think Dave Filoni's handling of Star Wars is
Dave Filoni's handling of anything. Because if you go back, he had a lot of directing in the first season of Avatar: The Last Airbender, which again, if we could do another podcast, I would be gung ho on doing anything with Avatar. But he's just a fantastic storyteller, and he knows how to make things go.
Yes.
So, which is what I'm really excited to see with this last season of The Bad Batch, because if it's anything like the last season of the Clone Wars, which made me cry multiple times.
I mean, yeah, losing Tech at the last possible minute. But you watched the trailer, right?
I did, yeah.
Did you see all the fan theories that the one stormtrooper in the back is Tech?
I've seen a lot of the fan theories, and I love fan theories coming up when it comes to trailers.
Yeah.
I feel like most of the time that they don't age well. And one of the extra stormtroopers being Tech. I'm gonna defer to the age-old Star Wars mantra. If we don't see a dead body, they're not dead.
Yeah.
I'm looking at you, Darth Maul. You got cut in half and thrown down a shaft. I'm looking at you, the Emperor. Also, not cut in half, but thrown down a shaft. And look who both came
down into where we saw the explosion of you hitting.
The explosion of you hitting, and then the entire Death Star 2 blowing up. So, I mean...
So, that brings me to my next question. Who do you think Sam Whitaker is going to play in the Bad... Does he show up as Darth Maul? Or does he show... I wonder... Sam Whitaker is Darth Maul. Not like, oh, he plays... No, he is. He died in fucking Star Wars Force Unleashed.
Yep.
Comes back, dies as Darth Maul, comes back, dies as the last Inquisitor. So what's he coming back as?
It's a great question. That's a great question.
He's almost like Boba Fett. Sam Whitaker's either Boba Fett or Darth Maul, where it's just like, okay, we killed you off, Sam. Can you come back next season to do this?
That's because the dynamic between both Dave and Sam is just they're just inseparable at this point.
Need to get him on the show.
Not to draw too much attention away from the Bad Batch, but that did just kind of remind me: are we ever going to get a Book of Boba Fett 2, or did they kind of kill that?
I think they killed that.
Well,
I think it was
if they hadn't chopped up the past and present like they did, the cuts were kind of bad. Overall, I thought it was decent, but I feel like if you just would have gotten through Boba getting out of the Sarlacc pit, living with the Tuskens, and that whole arc, and then done everything from the present,
brought up his Bacta addiction, every
Chris,
episode.
On this channel, we're all for the back to addiction. Don't call it an addiction. It's a lifestyle, Chris. It's a lifestyle.
I'm going to give you a long soak in the back to after this podcast,
Thank
Tyler.
you.
Yeah.
We're both in need of it.
Yeah.
But yeah, with the Bad Batch, I'm really excited to see how they get from point A to point B. We're at a point where the last season ended horribly. We all saw the Sid betrayal coming. I mean, that's what happens when you work with Transdoshan.
I think she's gonna die in this season.
You think?
I think she's gonna sacrifice herself to get
Omega back.
Omega back.
So it's been about a week or so since I've watched the trailer. Look at me not coming prepared. But was Sid in the trailer? Was Sid involved? Because I was just kind of the mind that maybe she, like, her story ends there, and like you just get to see that at the end of the day she only cares about money, kind of deal. Because those kind of characters they are in Star Wars. They exist. Everybody's not like Han, and they'll come back and do the right thing.
I am so upset that we haven't seen more of him with the live action.
Me
so
too.
Upset. So I think what's going to end up happening is I think they're going to go back to her after escape. So from what it looks like from this trailer is we are months, if not years, into the future. Like we have like a Shippuden time skip, and they're like, we don't know how to go get her, and we're calling in every favor, we're calling in everything we can possibly do. And I think what's going to end up happening is she is going to, or we're going to get, I'm going to say comfortably 2 to 3 episodes in. What's 6 or 8 episodes?
I'd say you get wait. So there's 3 at the beginning, and so you think we're going to get like 6 episodes in before we actually get to the?
No. I'm saying we're going to get a comfortable third of this, whatever it is. So if it's 8 episodes, we're going to get like 2 or 3. If it's 6 episodes, we're going to get 2. We're just dealing with the loss of Echo, the loss of Tech and the loss of Omega. And it's going to be, hey, she's been waiting for us. We've been down and out. We've been running ourselves, trying to figure out how to get back into it. And it's going to be, hey, somebody finally found something. We finally figured out where they are, and we're gonna now we're gonna go into it. I think they showed Scorch Off in the trailer too.
I did see Scorch.
So
big Scorch fan.
Yeah, I'm a little
watch our playthrough of Republic Commando. You really should.
Oh my god. Oh,
what a time!
Wait till the next playthrough of the next game we're doing.
Oh Lord.
I was gonna do this one to take off your plate because I was gonna show off Force Unleashed.
Oh really?
Yeah, I want to. Have you ever played it?
It's been a long time.
I love combos. So I'm excited. I've been getting in character action games, so I'm really excited to like go through that with you.
I suck at combos.
So. That's why I was like, you've done RPGs. While we figure out a couple other things that we want to work on, but as it were, yeah, I think we're gonna get like 2 to 3 episodes into it, and it's gonna be or like a good solid 2.5 before we get into let's get everyone back.
Yeah, and I think you're exactly right because this is one of the first shows. Or one of the only shows that we're getting 3 episodes right off the bat.
Wait, what?
Yeah, episodes 1, 2, and 3 premiere on the 21st.
It's got to be 12 episodes then.
I don't know the exact length of the season. It might be 14.
Oh shit.
Yeah. So, granted, we're going off my wonderful knowledge of looking at the episode list like a week ago.
Mm-hmm.
But I do know we're getting the first 3 next week, and then there are a couple of episodes that are bunched together that will release on the same day. I believe there's a 2 episode set in the middle, and then a 2 episode set at the end. So your theory about them kind of being aimless, dealing with their losses, holds a lot of credit. Just for the sole fact that a 3 episode premiere, I'd say that takes up a large chunk of it.
Yeah.
And then it'll get really good right in the 3rd episode, and then we'll have to wait the next week because that's just Star Wars in a nutshell.
I think I'm excited for that though. Like I'm okay if they're like, okay, we got like 3 episodes of just establish, deal with grief, deal with our loss. I want to see what they're doing with Omega because Omega's the one where I'm like, well, what's the ultimate goal here? Like we're trying to explain what is going on with Palpatine and how does he come back?
Because yeah, that's what all of these shows have been trying to build toward.
Yeah.
Because if there's anything that is tried and true in Star Wars, is that if you think your movies are weak, release a couple of shows explaining some plot holes, and they will age favorably.
Mm-hmm.
Which is what I'm kind of hoping with the sequel trilogy. You're a bigger fan of the sequel trilogy than I am. I like them.
I have qualms. I think there are things that could have been done better.
Yeah,
I think it fell into the trap of don't have different writers and directors. Like have a coherent story.
exactly. And that's something, these exact things were said about the prequels. I mean, Star Wars fans just aren't happy with anything. I think they're just a bitter lot for the most part.
When something
Except
comes
us.
out. Yeah.
Except us. We're great. We're positive all the time.
Oh, no. I had some hot takes on The Force Unleashed when I was a kid.
But I can only imagine those takes. We'll get into that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So watch our future Let's Play of Star Wars Force Unleashed. So, but that's kind of the mantra when it comes to how Star Wars operates.
Mm-hmm.
It operated like this even before the Disney acquisition, even more so after the Disney acquisition. Is that Star Wars: The Clone Wars propped up the prequels and gave so much more context in a way that going back and watching those movies and knowing everything else that's happening in the galaxy at that time, you're like, whoa.
I mean, the micro series where it was animated, but it was on Spike TV. So Spike TV, like the Do television network.
Yeah.
So it was more of like a gritty war story, and
Except for Anakin being a little whiny. Anyway.
Well, I mean, but like even he, like they definitely made Padme a little sultry in that, and like they hinted to some things, and they were like, yo, hips.
You mean the goddess that is Padme Amidala?
Yeah,
they did that in anything.
That's true. And they also gave the Twi'lek Jedi. She also got like they leaned into the fan service.
Right, they did. the fan service.
The fan service, yeah. No, the Twi'leks are just the furries of the Star Wars community. I'm just gonna come on. That's a full stop. That's not an inaccurate statement.
No, it's not. And if anybody tries to debate you, they're gonna come out wrong.
Yeah, they're gonna come out with,
which is why I'm just gonna let this lie.
So I'm very excited for that. I want to see. So yeah, I want to see. I want to see the end of this. I want to see this through, and I want to see the end. I'm also like, oh, don't do this. We know what's going to happen. I wouldn't be surprised if within the first 3 episodes we lose somebody.
Listen, I can't handle any more loss right now in my life. Okay,
So-
but actually, that kind of gives us a really good segue into who would you like to see in this last season. Personally, for me, just top 3 off the top of my head, I'd love to see Tech come back and be alive because he had so much character development in the last season. And when characters get character development, they're not long for the world. So I'd like to see Tech come back. I'm intrigued to see the role that Cad Bane will play. Because he was, I think, in the trailer for a couple of shots.
He's in the trailer. Asajj,
yes. Who that trailer released and everybody was like, this doesn't fit into the canon. But it does. You guys just need to reread Dark Disciple. Like, it doesn't.
So I'm going to throw out there, and I'm going to pull a really deep one, right? And I'm hoping this is Dave Filoni, like, doing a better job. Actually, no. We only have the trailer for the season, and I don't think this aired. Do you remember who the surprise visit was in season 2 of Rebels?
Yeah, you talk about Ahsoka?
No, bigger. Might have been season 1. Bigger, very prominent within Star Wars.
Talking about Vader?
Nope. Good guy.
Lando?
Okay, so yeah. But we've had...
Who am I missing?
Leia.
Oh, no, that wasn't until, I think, 2 or 3.
Okay. Either way, we had Leia. We've seen Luke in the distance. Obi-Wan has talked to child Luke now. And we've seen Luke point a lightsaber at his face.
Hello there.
Who is the one person that we've never seen animated?
Han.
Yeah.
So you think, I'd love to see, because he's kicking around the events of Solo. I'm not sure if they've occurred yet. I've never been too solid on the on the date of when Solo happened, but I think we're still too early in the
In the Empire.
yeah.
See, I was thinking maybe we'd get a Han, and honestly, even so what I was hoping for would be a Han Solo, Millennium Falcon. Hey, we need a way out of this.
Yeah.
And he's like, I got a ship for you if you have credits. Like that's
Just
what
in
I
it
like
for
to
the
see.
money kind of
Like
Han, yeah.
him and Lando, especially if we're saying, hey, this is just after the events of the Solo movie.
Mm-hmm.
So he's like not quite defeated yet.
Yeah.
Which is like Rip not getting a full Solo trilogy to have a bright-eyed, bushy-tailed Han Solo turn into Harrison Ford.
And this is why you need to have Star Wars fans in the Star Wars marketing department, because they did such a terrible job just marketing Solo in general.
Yeah.
That grinds my gears. I'm sure a few people were turned off by the casting decision of who they went with Han.
Yeah, I know you wanted the guy from the Age of Adeline, I think.
Yeah, well, because he was for those of you who haven't seen the Age of Adeline, great movie again, by the way. Harrison Ford's in it, but there's a younger version of the character Harrison Ford plays who looks like spitting image of him. I'm blanking the actor's name off the top of my head.
Harrison Ford.
Discount Harrison Ford, we'll call him that, yeah. I was gunning for him, too, but the actor, really need to get better with actor names, who actually portrayed Han Solo in the Solo movies, I thought he did a great job.
I thought he did too.
Yeah.
For being like a young, plucky person,
Yeah.
I was like, okay.
That's exactly how
you
Han
haven't been like you're getting off the planet, you're still like living the dream, and then you finally get out into space. Like I'm expecting like you need 2 to 3 jobs to go bad before you become Han Solo we meet in episode 4.
Yeah. Chilling in some seedy cantina on Tatooine.
Yeah.
In his free time.
Where else are you gonna hang out?
Yeah.
He knew that was the one place that he could hide from Jabba, where Jabba wouldn't like look for him. So he's like, oh, he's obviously running, and it's like, no, I'm sitting right in your nose,
following in Obi-Wan's shoes.
Yeah,
but there's the one place Anakin would never go again: Tatooine.
Yeah,
which not wrong. I mean, technically, genius.
I would love to see Han, because we've seen Lando before.
Yeah.
We've seen Leia. We've seen Chewie several times. I think seeing a Han Solo, like, that'd be perfect.
I'd love to.
Like,
I'd honestly love to.
Even if it's just like he gets everyone away, or everyone dies and all he does is get Omega away. Like, just having him in there, hell, he could be there, like, flying around Savage, or I'm sorry, not Savage, Ventress, and be like, oh, I hired this guy to like help me find you all.
The one issue with him being at least around Ventress, or if he's somehow introduced in the last season of the Bad Batch, is that the Han Solo we met in episode 4 is like, I don't believe that the Jedi ever existed. Like, that's a bunch of poodoo. So that's my one thing that, like, it would kind of take some engineering to get used to. I could see him interacting with the Bad Batch and stuff like that makes complete sense to me, but anything further gets into the way of the Han Solo that we know and love in the original trilogy. So I would love to see Han. Don't get me wrong.
I would raise you he could run around with Ventress, because I don't think Ventress would whip out her lightsaber for
just anybody.
Yeah, I think she might sit there and be like, oh, it's just some clever tricks, and she would, because she's also technically running. So I could see her doing like, like, how'd you do that? Like, it's Beskar, and
Yeah.
I ricocheted off the Beskar, and I was going like, that's not Beskar. like I don't know how you think you did that, but sure.
I'm just built different, Han. Come on.
Come on, we watched.
I have hair now. You didn't meet me when I was bald. I have hair now.
Oh my! Can we talk about? Hold on, we're gonna take a minute, guys. Can we talk about the Ventress glow up?
Yes, we can.
Oh, the half shaved head. We're still getting that Marin, goth girlfriend look from Star Wars Jedi Survivor and Jedi Fallen Order. But it's just like, I'm looking at like, oh, okay, Ventress, we're here. And so, do you think Quinlan would show up then?
Yeah, I think Quinlan. If Ventress is around, seeing Quinlan, I think is debatable. Getting a Quinlan Voss mention, it seems to be the hottest thing to do in every Star Wars show.
Okay, yeah.
So I'm 50-50 on if he actually shows up, but I think it's a guarantee that we get a name drop at least.
Yeah, that's true. We got him Kenobi.
Biggest freaking tease in Kenobi. I was so mad. Come on, just bring back
Well,
Quinlan.
you said he dies, right? Or is it Ventress who dies?
In Dark Disciple?
Yeah.
Spoiler alert.
Spoilers.
If you haven't read Dark Disciple. Again, great read within the new canon. Ventress does die.
Do we see a body?
Well, I mean, you read about it.
I didn't see the body. She doesn't die. Someone has it sketched on the page.
It's all...
Go ahead, sorry.
Doesn't count. That's on paper. I think everybody underestimates Dave Filoni's knowledge of the new canon, and I'm willing to bet you in a room in his house, it's just the entire Star Wars timeline, plaster on walls. There's books. There's like a flat screen with like every new Star Wars thing that's out there in the world now.
Mm-hmm.
And he looks like that guy from, I think it's Always Sunny. Yeah, he has like the cigarette. It's like it all connects. That's Dave Filoni.
Yeah, he's got his murder board over here. Yeah,
it just the strings pointing everything. Yeah. So don't worry so much about how it lines up because everything's gonna make sense
by the end of it. I agree.
And if there's a tiny retcon here and there, so be it. It happens. But with the batch, with the clones themselves, what questions are you looking to get answered for this season?
What questions? One. So you've never played Metal Gear Solid, have you?
No.
Okay. So I'm gonna give you a little bit of spoilers for Metal Gear Solid.
I'll try not to remember them.
That's fine. Metal Gear Solid, there are two brothers that are created, and they're clones. One uses dominant genes, the other one uses recessive genes. One of them is supposed to be superior than the other. And then they tell the non-dominant one, they tell one of them that, like, you're the superior clone, and the other one's, like, actually the superior clone. And they kind of do this, like...
Oh, so they gaslight them.
Yes.
Wow.
And then they do, like, a nature versus nurture, and it becomes, like, okay, who... I think it gets, like, retconned and, like, flipped back and forth depending on what game you play, which one was actually the superior clone, this or the other.
That's confusing.
Jesus Christ, you have no idea. But that is... So we got at the very end of the last season was the doctor and or nurse female clone is, I'm your sister. But she looks like she could have been Echo. She could have been Tech. You can see in her face when she says that,
yeah.
like, no, you are, but Omega's different. Why does Omega have blonde hair? Like, the other guys have weird hair because they dye it, they tattoo their head, they do stuff like that. Why does Omega look different? So now I'm like, were you doing something with the Force? Were you doing gene altercations? Was the other person like the original? And it's like, she's smarter, maybe like temperament, I don't know. But now my question is, okay, what makes Omega so special? Was Omega taking, Jango Fett's Mandalorian genes and manipulating them to create a whole new genetic line so that way you never again have to worry about running low on DNA and getting, defective clones, for lack of a better...
In all the chaos of the Battle of Geonosis, I'm surprised that, like, nobody ever came back for his body or something. Or maybe, I just would have...
I have questions about, like, I like how much I don't know. That's a whole other question for a whole other day.
I mean, Boba got his dad's armor.
He did.
Had to get his dad's like headless body out of that thing.
Yeah, I kind of wish that, like, at the end of Boba Fett, he was like, okay, I'm not really Boba Fett anymore. And he, like, polished it and painted it blue and, like, retook up his dad's mantle with it.
Boba Fett's a better man than his dad was, though. So, like, when you say take up the mantle of being like Jango Fett was a scumbag. So,
but he was a great bounty hunter.
Yeah, but I think Boba lives by more honor than Jango ever did.
That's fair.
So, I mean,
I miss the dark pistols from Jango Fett, though.
Are you talking about the old? Yeah.
We could have a whole thing on like design and weapon choice for that.
Unlocked a core memory of my brother and I playing the really old the Jango Fett game for, I think it was a PlayStation 2.
Hey, fun fact: if you got PlayStation Plus, guess what you could play?
Oh God, don't get me started on this. Anyway, and so what I'm most curious to see is if we're going to get some sort of clone rebellion, because in Legends, how it went, because they pulled certain aspects from Legends.
Yeah.
How it went was that the Kaminoans, somebody went to the Kaminoans and tried to raise another clone army to take on the Empire, and then skirt, the Empire found out, because of course they did.
Yeah.
And so Darth Vader and the 501st went to, wasn't it in Force Unleashed actually, or am I thinking of a different game?
The Force Unleashed is Kashyyyk.
Ah, okay.
And it's Vader going back to Kashyyyk to hunt down another.
Is that Coda? Was it?
I think it was just a new name Jedi.
Okay.
Who has a kid apparently.
But yeah, in Legends, that's how it went. That there's a clone rebellion on Kamino. They ended up getting put down. That's how the clones kind of ended.
Yeah.
And Palpatine in the Bad Batch, when he was giving a speech at the Senate after Admiral Rampart had to take the fall.
Yeah.
For destroying Kamino, he was like, I question the clones' abilities. That if somebody, if they can just be controlled this easily, why are we using them? And that's how he pushes the stormtrooper. Was it like a bill, I guess? Because he's still trying to play nice with the whole Senate, and I'm such a good guy, even though I just announced myself emperor. But I'm great.
There's a whole premise with, and I want to say it's a fan theory, but also like there's credence to it, where when the High Republic and the Republic, it was even. You had the humans, you had all the other alien races.
Yeah.
But when we start getting to the Empire, in order to like create division within the galaxy, it becomes a very human-centric governing body. Mm-hmm. And that's why like all the military officers are, humans, and everything else is subjugated. So I almost think
that's why they hate Thrawn too. Don't forget that.
Yeah, and I almost think that that's really what they're actually going to be going for with this, where it's going to be we're going to kind of start to see the telltale signs of, if you are not part of our empire, joining our empire in all of these ways to be uniform, you're going to be labeled as an other, and that's where we're going to start getting rebellions. I could see a clone uprising.
What has Rex been doing this entire time? He's been slowly but surely he's been gathering more and more of his brothers, and like that's where I'm kind of thinking that it may lead to.
I think so. Then the question is, how does Rex get to Old Man in the Sea?
Exactly.
So that would probably be another really big answer. Like, what happened to get you here? With Gregor and
Wolf.
And Wolf, yeah.
And that's actually, in terms of cameos, who I'm most excited or anticipating to see is Wolf, because in Rebels, Wolf is the one who alerts the Empire because he's
his
paranoid.
Chip's still like a little like messing with him, if I'm not mistaken, too, or it's out, but
it's they all got their chips removed, but he's just, I think it was just kind of like a paranoia sort of deal with
PTS.
him. Yeah. Which is totally understandable. Can't blame him. He's old. He looks so cool old though, like with the was it mutton chops?
Oh yeah, where they were like if you saw like a wolf with the thing out here and then the one dead eye scar,
so cool. But we haven't seen Wolf this entire time.
That's true.
I don't think he's even been mentioned. So I'm excited to see if he comes in, because Gregor's here. We've seen Gregor. Love Gregor so much. He's just a gem. But we haven't seen Wolf. Didn't see Wolf in Revenge of the Sith either, because they were, Plo Koon, when he got shot out of the sky. So I don't really know what ends up happening to him. So that's somebody I'm really anticipating seeing, and I want to see what Rex has been building toward this entire time, because it seems like he's going to be featured pretty heavily throughout the season, which is great. And another guy, of course, is Cody. I don't think Cody was in the trailers, but he went AWOL when we got to see him at the end of last season, so I'm expecting him to make an appearance as well.
Are we gonna get more Chuchi? Senator Chuchi.
What a gem!
Her coming back and be like, "Hey, we need to do this for the clones. We need to do something so that they can retire on." I'm wondering if we're gonna see like biological warfare on the clones, where it's like we have a way to kind of
weed them out,
to target them directly without having to worry about bothering, hurting anyone else.
Yeah. Because there are almost no clones left by the end of. Well, I mean, they have their accelerated ages, like that's fair.
Mm-hmm.
But in terms of clones that we've seen, Old Man, Rex, Wolf, and Gregor, that one clone in Obi-Wan that's on the streets of Nar Shaddaa, right? Is what they were on, or
yeah, the one who's like the 501st and can't really remember things.
Yeah,
it's the damage from the.
He looked like he remembered Obi-Wan.
He might have, yeah. Yeah, that's really it.
So there's 4.
Answering,
and there used to be millions.
Yeah, the only other clones that we would know about is because the one Commando is also with Rex, right? In the Old Man in the Sea, the one Commando that we saw.
Yeah, that's Gregor.
That's Gregor. Okay, so we got Gregor. He's accounted for.
Yeah, it's just those 4. I'm not thinking of any other.
Yeah,
clones.
like all the major clones that you would have really liked all kind of died in the last season of Star Wars Clone Wars.
Yep. Actually, there's one I'm blanking on who it was, but there's a comic out there. One of the clones that was in Clone Wars ends up like getting napped at some point, or is like stuck in some sort of like cryogenic state,
and
then wakes up years and years after everything happened. It was like, what happened? They did the Grand Army of the Republic did what? It became an empire, and he's like so culture shocked, but he ends up joining this crew and doing stuff that way, which I thought was cool.
And I think the only other one was on. The only other clone that might still be around is the clone that was married to the Twi'lek in Clone Wars.
Oh, Cutler Quain?
Yeah,
he doesn't count.
Oh, come on, he counts. He can still fight.
He's a family man.
He is. I get. Yeah, and that's gonna hurt so much. Like it hurt being like the 501st. Half the 501st is literally with Vader.
Yep.
And I kind of want them to answer the question of because we haven't seen Vader in Bad Batch, right?
No, not at all.
So I want.
He's probably still on. Like he's on his early rampages, basically, where he's just hunting down Jedi.
But
like
he
crazy.
still has the 501st.
Yeah. Oh, I know he does.
And so my question now is like, I want to see. I also kind of want to see that. I want like, hey, Ventress is there and the Bad Batch is there, and we're having an issue. I could see Vader. Vader being the reason that
Ventress dies again, or
Wrecker dies. Like that, to me, that would be the one where it's. Have you seen all of Jedi Survivors yet?
I have seen everything up until the last like 30-ish minutes of it. So, just in terms of like cutscenes.
Do you know the twist? What twist do you know of?
Oh, yes, I do know that twist.
Okay. Did you see the cutscene after that with so-and-so and so-and-so fighting?
Oh, yeah.
So
that was intense.
Spoilers, Judah is fighting Vader in Jedi Survivors. Check it out on the channel. Mrs. Play and I did a great playthrough of it. And we still have only seen a pretty weak Vader. So with Jedi with Obi-Wan, we saw a very weak Vader. I'm gonna say, where it's still like he's kind of getting used to it. Like you're seeing him do evil things, but we're not at Rogue One Vader.
We're not at always seen Vader yet.
Yeah, like
that's fair.
That's really the difference of where we're at. And then
or Comic Vader. Comic Vader's
also really badass. So I kind of want to see what are you guys going to do for that middle Vader, because even if we're talking Cal Kestis and them, we're still only like 10 years after that. I I guess we kind of got to see that Vader in the beginning of Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order, but at the same time, it was like, okay, you're fighting a Padawan. You should be able to murk him no problem, and then it's just a lot of circumstance that stops Vader, not necessarily, somebody. Because when you fought him with Sierra June, like, if he got a hit on you, that was it. But it kind of felt like, well, he's still getting used to the robotics and having to learn a whole different fight style for this.
So, mentioning the time jump that occurs with this season, because we don't know how long the time jump is yet, I'm trying to piece the events of Fallen Order, and if we've reached that point yet during Cal's antics and such, because
Fallen Order is 7 years later. After Fallen Order is
after 66.
After 66.
Was it really 7 years between Order 66 and then Cal being on Baraka? That long?
It's like it's either 6 or 5 years. Yeah.
Okay.
Because that's the whole point, is like what they've done to the ship engineers is like, oh, we were engineers and now we're just scrappers. Like, we built some of these ships.
And then Bad Batch obviously starts immediately after Order 66, because we get another crushing Order 66 scene to start the freaking show.
Yeah.
Thank you.
But
Thank
I think
you, Dave.
There's like a 2 to 3 year jump, or like at least a year jump between season 1, season 2.
Well, I feel like it can't be more than a year, though.
Okay.
Like, Omega has gotten like a little bit older, but in terms of the jump, who knows what exactly it is, But yeah, no. So I was just trying to piece together if like maybe there was anybody from Fallen Order or Jedi Survivor that we would end up seeing, but obviously not, because I think we're still a couple of years out from those events occurring.
If we would have had the chance, it would have been when they were on Baraka at the Venator in season 1, and that's the real big one for me. That is, that we kind of should have gotten to. But we do have before we like, so this was a really big preseason for that.
Yeah.
But we do have a few other shows. So we also have let me go ahead and type that back in. Star Wars 2024. Nope, 20.
Yeah, because I know we're getting Skeleton Crew, I think around May the 4th, right, is when that's going to come. Which I heard the trailers for it are pretty cool, but they haven't actually, they
released them.
Yeah.
So one of the things that I've been incredibly excited for when it comes to Star Wars is kind of doing what the original Star Wars did really well, which was, we're going to take this idea, like we're going to take spaghetti Western, and we're going to make it, knights, spaghetti Western, lasers. And we're just going to kind of like marry these two genres.
Yeah.
So like Skeleton Crew, I'm kind of hoping for like an Aliens level, like what the creature that the parasite that I want to say it was part of the Dark Empire timeline. I could be wrong, so please forgive me. That like gets into Leia's head and turns her into Empress Leia and Sith Lord Leia. Like, I would love to see that. Like, hey, what is this? Like, hey, one of the characters is force sensitive on this ship, and then it becomes like, we go onto this planet. We're in the unknown regions. They get infected. They're force sensitive, and then it's like it feeds off the force in them and goes like, now you're like full on. Well, why are they so? It's not him. It's the parasite.
And they've experimented with this a couple of different times in the new canon already with let's see, it happened with Barriss and Ahsoka.
Oh, after Geonosis, yeah.
The clone troopers there too. So like it's not unheard of.
And that was such a short, but like giving it like that was still framed in like it's a war TV show.
Yeah.
I want this to be like, oh no, we're out here, we're a little lost in space, and like give me Aliens level terror. Like, I don't know if you've ever seen Alien 1. Alien 1 is Jaws in space.
Yeah.
And it's great for that. Sure, I've seen it before, but if you tell it again and tell it in a new way with something new, I'm here for that.
And then slap Star Wars on it.
Yeah, slap Star Wars on it.
And that always works.
Yeah.
That always works. Some of the best projects, I feel like, always have references to something else.
Then we have the Acolyte. I feel like that one's also...
Yeah, that's toward the end of the High Republic, which I'm excited to see. It's interesting.
And I think it's supposed to be a Sith-based.
Yes.
It's like Sidious?
Not quite Sidious. As far as I know, it's not. We're not there yet. End of the High Republic, start of just, I guess, our normal times. So maybe
The current Republic?
no. Anyway, when the High Republic gets lower, no. But I think it's dealing with maybe.
It's High Republic Clone Wars era. Is that just how it breaks down?
So you have the High Republic.
Yep.
When everything's better, like let's just paint it as
Yeah.
is.
Yeah. Okay.
You know, the Jedi are more connected to the Force, the Republic's flourishing, that sort of thing. And then we get anything like before the events of the Phantom Menace, essentially, is like the aftermath of the High Republic. Honestly, it's just the process of the High Republic going down to what we end up seeing by the events of the first movie.
Well, and I guess that was my question: is what? So like, it's the High Republic timeline.
Mm-hmm.
It's the Rebels time frame. It's the Rise of the Resistance. It's the Resistance, the New Republic. What is the timeline of the Clone Wars? Like, what's the name? What's the era?
Oh, the era of it's just the era of the Republic.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah, that's boring.
Yeah. No, that's it. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm excited to see that because obviously we're going to get introduced to who came before Plagueis, or maybe even Plagueis. Who knows? Because mutants last a hot minute.
I
far as I know.
mean, Siths last a hot minute.
But I do know in Dark Disciple, one of the High Republic characters is confirmed to be in it. Vernestra, I think. She's really cool. Little spoiler for you because you haven't read the books, but her lightsaber.
Uh-huh.
Think of Indiana Jones.
Oh, she has the whip.
Yeah.
They brought in the canon whip.
Yeah.
That I think
And it's
Talon,
purple.
I think Talon had it.
It's purple.
That sounds about right.
Yeah. And I think if I'm remembering correctly, because I haven't read anything High Republic lately, but I think she's Luminara's species is what she is. I can't be too sure. I could be wrong there. But yeah, so I know she's in it. But those are exciting. And Tales of the Jedi is probably going to be gut wrenching because everything Dave Filoni does is gut wrenching.
What do you think they're going to tackle in Tales of the Jedi then?
No clue, honestly.
So
maybe something with Yoda.
The original Tales of the Jedi was how did we find Ahsoka? Plo Koon discovering her. What was like? Give me a real quick synopsis. How did Dooku get to where he was? Because we did get to see Dooku in the Clone Wars, where Yoda's going through his second trial of the Jedi, like going and conquering his dark side, where he's sitting there and he goes, "Isn't that right?" And it's a jovial, like you still hear sinister in Dooku's voice because his very posh voice is very sinister sounding. But then we get to him being like jovial and like joking with him and like we were going to tell you about them. Qui-Gon's there now, also on the council and things like that. Do you think Dave Filoni at all would try to tackle 1, Luke, 2, Rey, or do you think he might do something with like Mace? And Mace is
Don't do anything with Mace. Seen enough of Mace. Forget Mace. Mr. Rules and Regulations of the Order. Mace, don't get me started. We're not getting back into this.
That's
okay?
fine. That's fine. But like those are the 3 big things that I'm like. A lot of people complained that Luke was changed off screen, and I know that I'm one of the few people who's like, no, Luke. Like even Mark Hamill when he's like going like, I played like Jason Skywalker, not Luke Skywalker. I'm like, your hubris is showing, Luke.
So I don't think he's gonna. Out of the 3 of those, Mace would probably be the most likely. But the fact that the show is called Tales of the Jedi, I think we're gonna get something. I could see Dave doing something in the High Republic era more than anything.
Okay.
Just because I feel like it defeats the purpose if you do Rey or Luke. Maybe Luke. You could maybe get away with Luke because he's starting a new Jedi Order. I guess you could say Tales of the Jedi. But I think we're bound to get something. I have no clue, really. I've thought about this in my free time too, and I don't really see outside of him doing something with Yoda is the only thing I can really,
I really just want an episode called Boken.
Boken Jedi.
And hear me out, right? We can make this as cliche as possible. You go somewhere and it's like a sailing world, and you make like a Viking Jedi. Still follows the Jedi Order, fights like a Viking, raised around the people. You go over here, you do traditional Jedi where it's like, hey, this person is like a knight, cross guard, everything else. You go over to this area, and it's like, hey, this person, they're like samurai, they do haiku, and you give me like 4 different interpretations using the Jedi as the background. I would love to see that.
So that'd be really cool.
I want to see more Boken. I once that name got thrown out, I was like, I want
Say
that.
less.
I want that.
Give me all the Jedi raised in the wild.
Yeah,
in the tall grass for you to encounter like Pokemon. So that actually piqued a couple of different names in my head that we could see. We could see Balin get fleshed out, maybe where he was, like kind of what he was doing toward the end of the Clone Wars, what his role in the Clone Wars was like.
Balin. Yes.
So
sorry. Yeah.
No, you're
sorry,
good.
Sorry.
That's one I could definitely see. Or 2, Kanan. We could see probably more Kanan, but I feel like at that point his story's already kind of explored with his younger Jedi days. Between, he's featured in the last season of the Clone Wars, the start of the Bad Batch. We see him as a kid, so that was kind of my thinking. Those were the 2 main avenues, but I just keep coming back to Yoda, and if Dave was going to tinker around in the High Republic era, Yoda would be like that point. Or Yaddle even, actually. But, I mean, we saw Yaddle.
Yeah, we got the explanation of why Yaddle wasn't around.
God, that was gut-wrenching.
So
she was this close. This close to she could
have stopped it all.
She could have just ran.
Yeah.
But her attachment to Dooku, her ship was right there. She could have skedaddled.
I do like that.
Skedaddled.
Skedaddled. Hey, Tyler, we should make that a shirt. Skedaddled.
Listen.
Squales.
Listen, you give me 2 weeks of paid vacation, and I will make all of the shirts that I've ever mentioned on this channel.
Can you also stream while you're doing that? Because I need to find a way to pay you then.
Sure.
Okay. So it's not going to be vacation.
You can pay me in blocks.
Pay you in blocks?
In blocks, yeah.
Legos?
Yeah.
Oh, you're paying blocks. How's that Republic ship coming?
Slowly.
I know.
Slowly but surely.
I know it takes a moment. You're good. I just want to see it when it's done. I'm so curious to see how it looks. So here's my question with Yoda, right? And I think this is my only reason why I don't want to see Yoda. What are you gonna say with Yoda? Like what is it that you're gonna say? Because we already have seen him as the old wise one. We've already seen him as the one that goes, hey, maybe the Jedi have gotten a little too, arrogant and hubris, like in our strength and our abilities.
Whose fault is that? It's his.
Is it?
He oversaw it all, yeah. I mean,
we also get like the him that believed the prophecy, the him that thinks maybe the prophecy was misread. And then we get the him at the end when it's like, I have seen everything rise and fall. And by the way, if Luke dies, there's another one. We're okay. We have an heir and a spare. So my question is like, what nuance are you going to bring to Yoda's character that I wouldn't have already seen?
I don't know.
And that's my only reason with like not really wanting to see Yoda.
I'm just going off characters that Dave's worked with before, because in Tales of the Jedi, he created Ahsoka, so there you go.
Yeah.
And then he fleshed out Dooku a lot more in the Clone Wars. But I never liked how he did Dooku in the Clone Wars, because I'm of the belief that we're going to get into this later, but I'm of the belief that Dooku means well.
Oh, I think he does
deep
too.
down. But
I totally think he does too.
I hated seeing him evil. Maybe I'm just giving Dave a hard time. But it's exciting. I mean, we have a lot of things that we're going to look forward to, not just in 2024, but with the Bad Batch next week.
Yeah.
Next week, right? 21st?
Yeah, next week. That's why that's one of the reasons we had to do this week.
Yeah, fair.
We're gonna do. Are we gonna do an Ahsoka with this?
I'd love to.
Okay. So just so you guys are aware, probably gonna be on Friday nights. For those of you that are watching this live with us here on Twitch, Friday nights. I'll be traveling next week, so yeah, Friday's gonna work better for me. Friday night, we will do a live podcast. We will discuss that week's episode of The Bad Batch. Unless it's really, really good and we say, fuck it, we're going to do it on Wednesday.
Yeah.
But we'll do a live episode, and then that Saturday will become, it'll come out to the podcast platform of choice. The VOD that will go here will also go up on the channel. So if you want to see our smiling faces as we continue to talk Star Wars, you can totally do that. If you guys enjoyed this podcast, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. Follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. But yeah, so we will be back next week for the first 3 episodes of The Bad Batch.
Next Friday.
Anything else you want to leave with?
No, just excited for next week.
Yeah. Remember, you're all winners out there. Take care of your friends here and elsewhere. Keep it weird. And have a fantastic rest of your day, everybody.